America is facing a storm of interconnected crises that threaten the very foundation of its middle class. Record homelessness and soaring rents are colliding with an economy that feels increasingly unmanageable for millions of Americans. The evidence is stark. Over 2.3 million people are now unhoused, marking a 21% increase in just 1 year. Meanwhile, more than 8 million Americans are behind on rent, with 2.3 million facing rent hikes of over $500. This is not just a housing problem, it is an economic and societal emergency that exposes the fractures in a system struggling to meet its citizens' basic needs. The consequences of this crisis are profound. In New York City, rent soared to an astronomical $5,600 per month this past year. But the problem is not confined to the city that never sleeps. States like Arizona, Ohio, Texas, and Tennessee, once known for their relative affordability, are now grappling with skyrocketing housing costs. For the middle class, this is a slow-moving disaster. Half of Americans are spending between 30% and 50% of their income on rent, leaving little room for necessities like gas, groceries, or unexpected medical bills. The margins are razor-thin, and one unforeseen expense can lead to financial catastrophe. When people are asked why they are angry about the economy, the answer is clear: prices. Prices for everything, from rent to insurance, are rising at breakneck speed, and wages are not keeping up. People feel squeezed from every direction, with little hope of relief. One tenant described the panic she felt when faced with a $600 rent increase, a story that echoes across the nation. For many, staying put means financial strain, while moving is an equally unfeasible option. It's a lose-lose situation that is eroding the stability of millions of households. The American middle class is disappearing, a silent crisis in America. The middle class, once the cornerstone of the nation's identity and a beacon of the American dream, has been steadily eroding. Today, this class no longer holds its majority status. The decline of the middle class is not just a demographic shift but a profound transformation of economic and societal structures, raising urgent questions about the future of American society. In the 1970s, the middle class was a majority, encompassing 61% of American adults. Fast forward to 2023, and that percentage has shrunk to 47%, according to the Pew Research Center, and it continues to decline. Cities across the nation, from Boston to Goldsboro, North Carolina, to Midland, Texas, and Seattle, are witnessing fewer adults residing in middle-class households. This alarming trend points to a broader economic fragility and a stark reality: the middle class is no longer the economic anchor it once was. Economic data paints a grim picture. A survey by the Federal Reserve reveals that a staggering 33% of middle-income adults cannot afford an unexpected $400 expense. The financial strain is compounded by the rising cost of essential services. Over the past 2 decades, while family income has increased by just 20%, the cost of health insurance has skyrocketed by 155%, housing by 56%, and college education by 43%. These disparities highlight the growing pressures on middle-income families, often referred to as the squeezed middle class. This term reflects the relentless challenge of maintaining or improving their standard of living amidst escalating costs and stagnant wages. The consequences of these trends are deeply felt. For many middle-class Americans, the belief in economic mobility, the idea that their families will move up the ladder, has all but vanished. In fact, 94% of the middle class no longer believe in the core tenet of the American dream. This erosion of optimism undermines not only individual families but also the collective spirit of a nation that has historically relied on the drive and resilience of its middle class to weather economic storms.